Hello and welcome to CONMEBOL 15th match day qualifiers for the World Cup. We leave aside clubs, Leo, and we focus again in South America. Of course, we put the eye on Brazil, on Carlo Ancelotti. Yes. What an arrival for South American football. What an arrival for the Seleção.
Absolutely. That's the biggest news we have before match day 15 and match day 16. He was presented by Luis Felipe Scolari in a press conference. To be honest, I'm very enthusiastic. I'm looking forward to see Ancelotti managing in South America, and particularly with the Verde Amarela.
Well, then let's not waste any time because it's actually our first game. So, guys, of course, let me know in the comments, what do you think about Ancelotti arriving to Brazil? Do you think he's going to be successful? And, of course, about the tips. And now, don't forget to press the like, subscribe. Let's go on with the show. Well, Leo, as I said, actually, the first game we are going to analyze is Ecuador-Brazil, and it's not an easy debut for Carlo Ancelotti. He explained in his first press conference in Spanish, by the way, why he didn't call Rodrigo or Neymar, for instance, in his first list. And remember that the last game of the Verde Amarela was the 4-1 in Argentina, a disgrace for the Brazilians. And here, Leo, we have great odds to back somehow Ecuador. They are the underdog in this game, but since they lost to Brazil, is 4 wins and 3 draws, and they are very strong. Playing at home is 5 wins and 2 draws.
Yes, they are very strong at the moment, Edu, and especially when they play in Quito, unbeaten in the last 7. It's true what you said. The latest defeat, or the last defeat for them, was actually against Brazil in the reverse fixture. They have conceded 2 goals only in this run of 7 games unbeaten. One was against Venezuela at home, but they won that game 2-1, and it could have been even 3 or 4 goals on that afternoon in Quito. And the other one was actually, well, against Brazil. They have the best defensive record of the CONCACAF, of the CONMEBOL qualifiers. Only 5 goals conceded in 14 matches, and just 2 of those goals have been at home. 2 goals conceded in 7 games played in Quito. They have now in 𝗷𝗵𝗂𝗀 and Piero Hincapié, one of the best in South America, that's for sure. But yes, of course, what we were talking at the beginning anyway, Edu, the eyes are going to be on Brazil, are going to be on Ancelotti. That's the truth. I mean, the Italian is following this kind of like trend of top club managers now taking over national teams. You have Thomas Tuchel in England. You have Spalletti from winning the Scudetto with Napoli, now managing Italy. You have Nagelsmann from Bayern Munich now managing Germany. And now we have Carleto Ancelotti. We have been talking about him so much for so long, Edu. We thought it was going to happen before the Copa America in the United States. In the end, he said another year in Real Madrid, and finally we got Carleto Ancelotti in South America. You said it cannot get worse than the 4-1 thrashing in Buenos Aires with Dorival Jr. on match day 14, as we had seen in that 4-1 in the Monumental. Probably one of the lowest points for Brazil since that 7-1 against Germany in their own World Cup in 2014. I think Ancelotti encapsulates, Edu, the hope in the middle of chaos, because it's chaos inside the pitch for Brazil at the moment. There is a vacuum of talented players, especially midfielders. Yes, when you look up front, Brazil still produces a massive amount of talent, but when you look at the midfield or you look at the fullbacks, right back, left back, it's not the same Brazil that we used to know. So that's the chaos, if you want football in chaos, that Ancelotti needs to sort it out. But there is also chaos outside, because even the Hernaldo Rodriguez, who is the president of the Brazilian Confederation and the man being present at the press conference with Carleto Ancelotti, he's been ordered by the courts in Rio de Janeiro to get out of the Confederation. So it's a bit of a mess now at the moment for Brazil. I'm personally super enthusiastic with his appointment. I'm really, really looking forward. Of course, it's not going to happen that now in Quito we're going to see Brazil resembling of that team of the 1970s. It's not going to happen. He cannot fix things straight away. He's going to be training with everyone for 2, 3, or max 5 days before the match in Ecuador. He has no Neymar in this first list. I mean, he was in the pre-list. Now he's not going to be present in Quito, neither in Brazil, because he's injured. Fair enough, but he's recalling Casemiro. He has been out of the national team for more than a year and a half. Casemiro, Anthony, who is hours away from playing against Chelsea with Betis, the final of the Conference League, and is having a very good semester after a dreadful 2 years in Manchester. Is also Richarlison back, who just won the Europa League with Tottenham, playing from the start in the final. So if there is something that Ancelotti knows how to handle, is to manage in different contexts. He managed and won in Italy. He managed and won in Germany. He managed and won in Spain. At a personal level, he's so good. Everyone says that about him, the way he managed at the personal level, not only his knowledge about football, which of course second to none, but at this, when you manage national team level, and it's even said by Scaloni and his players, it's more important the way you manage at the personal level than the footballing knowledge you may have, which is also, of course, anyway, very important. But this said, there are many external factors which I'm also curious to see how Ancelotti is going to handle, because he's not used to going to Quito and play in the altitude of that city. He's not used to going to El Alto, and Brazil with Ancelotti are going to go to Bolivia to play in El Alto on the final match day. So these kind of things, I'm very interested to see how he's going to sort them out. The odds are high both ways. Edu, you mentioned the ones on Ecuador. Actually, Ecuador double chance is 1.53. If you combine that with the goals under, the odds may go up closer to 1.8. But I'm going to settle for the goals market, Edu. My take here for this Ecuador-Brazil on the debut of Carleto Ancelotti, goals under 2.5. Remember, Ecuador in Quito have only conceded 2 goals in 7 games. Might take goals under 2.5, odds of 1.77.
Well, the hype is important. It's really high for Brazil, but of course we have to wait and be patient because he just arrived to Brazil and he needs time, of course, to work with the team, but already some changes in the list, and let's see if the team improves. Especially, I think mentally the team was absolutely doomed and they needed a boost, although it's strange, of course, to see a foreigner sitting on the Verde Amarelas bench. Well, great.
One more thing, Edu.
Yeah.
Sorry, just one more thing to add on Ancelotti, and the last thing you said. If you remember that image of before the penalties in the Copa America, Uruguay against Brazil, Uruguay won and went to play the semifinals against Colombia. That video, that image of 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗲𝗀 trying to find his way within the circle of the Brazilian players. Well, that is something that is never going to happen to Ancelotti. And that's a big upgrade on the Seleção, to have a manager who the players can look after and listen to. And that was not happening with 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗲 Jr.
Exactly. He's a star as Vinicius or even Neymar if
Absolutely.
he returns to the national team. And he's going to be paid as a big star, that's for sure.
Yes.
Well, next game, Leo, is Paraguay-Uruguay, 3rd against 5th, but both with 21 points. Probably both are going to the World Cup, but Uruguay, they are in a really bad run. It's only 1 win in the last 8 games. They beat Colombia with internal problems with Bielsa. It's been a while, you told us, Leo, in this show. Now, without Valverde, and they play. This one is very tough for me to win for Uruguay, but then they have Venezuela and Peru to finish the job and qualify for the World Cup. And Paraguay, this is the defense, Leo. Again, only 9 goals conceded and making the best of only 11 goals scored in these qualifiers. And by the way, they've won the last 4 home games.
Yes, absolutely. And if I was saying that I was leaning towards the goals under in the Ecuador Brazil, everyone is thinking the same for this one, probably beforehand. But if everyone goes and look at the odds for the goals under, you will see that, of course, it's not paying much at the moment because it's Paraguay, Uruguay, and especially because it's Paraguay at home, and because it's the Paraguay from Gustavo Alfaro, which is anyway one of the stories and continues to be the stories, one of the stories of this qualifier, Edu, because this process with Paraguay was going to end inevitably in disappointment, because before Alfaro arrived, they were looking at the bottom of the table, and now we have this Paraguay 5th place, 6-point gap with the playoff pot, as you said, 8 games unbeaten. Who are the top teams in South America? Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia. Well, Paraguay faced them all with Alfaro. They won against Brazil and Argentina at home, and they drew against Uruguay and Colombia. In Barranquilla, matchday 14, they came from a 2-0 down after only 12 minutes, and they managed to rescue a point. And that is noteworthy because Paraguay in Barranquilla last match day, they became the first visiting team in 8 years to recover from a 2-goals deficit and secure at least a point in the South American qualifiers. And I thought that, to be honest, against Colombia, they were going for the thrashing after going down 2-0 in 12 minutes, because Luis Diaz scored after 1 minute, so even less, 40 seconds. John Duran scored 10 minutes after. It was good for them that they managed to score before the break with Junior Alonso, and then Julio Enciso probably scoring one of the goals of his life. There was another one very good when he was playing for Brighton against Chelsea in Stamford Bridge, but what he scored against Colombia in Barranquilla was, hats off, to be honest, a beautiful goal from Enciso. The double pivot for Paraguay and Gustavo Alfaro is working very well as well, with Diego Gómez, and Andres Cubas. Diego Gómez is coming in a very good form. It was difficult for them to settle in the Premier League when he arrived from Inter Miami in January. Actually, he was not playing many minutes at the beginning, but now on the last match day in the Premier League against Tottenham away, he played the full second half and he scored a beauty from outside of the box. He got emotional, he was crying because he needed that boost. And if there is something that Diego Gómez has, it's actually that he can score from outside the box. He did that against Brazil when Paraguay won 1-0, and it was actually from a goal from Diego Gómez from 25 yards. It was a beautiful goal as well. And for Uruguay and Marcelo Bielsa, this game is important, but the point they got in El Alto was also huge for them. Despite this winless run that they are having at the moment. Sergio Roget, MVP of the game in El Alto, but in the second half, Uruguay anyway, they have chances to win the game. The last game so far in the qualifiers, they won only 1 game away from home, and that was against Argentina, but that was November 2023. We're still waiting to see the Uruguay that we saw in the Copa America, especially in that group stage. Since that win against Argentina, on the road, 4 games without winning for Uruguay, and only scoring once, and that was in the 1-1 against Brazil. The book is placing Paraguay's favorites here. I think, or personally, I see this more closer than the odds suggest. I mean, on a good night, Uruguay has the capabilities of winning home or away almost against anyone. But the problem is that, like, those good nights happen very rarely since the Copa America. Double chance for Uruguay is 1.53, which is not terribly at all. But I'm expecting, yes, of course, because it's in Asunción, because it's against Paraguay. 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐺 game, 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐺 start, first half draw. That is my take. First half draw, 1.93, Edu.
Always close games, actually, in South America, usually low scoring games, so we shouldn't expect a lot of goals. And probably same for the next one, Chile, Argentina. We have beautiful odds, I would say, for Argentina. It's never easy to win away, but we are talking about the world champions already qualified for the World Cup, coming from the 4-1 against Brazil and some great performances. And it's again 1.8 Argentina to beat Chile, bottom of the table, really slim chances to go to the World Cup. I think not even the most optimistic of the Chileans, Leo, can think about going to the World Cup, and they play Bolivia next away, but it's only 2 wins in these qualifiers. Chile is so poor. The gap in quality at the moment is really high is really big between these two teams.
Absolutely, Edu. And if you are wondering if Ricardo Gareca is still managing Chile, the answer is yes. And that is because only the federation does not have the $2 million they need if they want to fire him. And the only way they can get away from El Tigre without paying him any compensation is if Chile is officially out of the World Cup. And at the moment, everyone in Chile, I believe, might be with a calculator in their hand doing all the combinations possible. But it's just a case of the people does not want to accept the reality. And Chile is not going to play the next World Cup. It's not just now is Argentina at home. Then they need to go to El Alto against Bolivia. They still need to play Brazil. So to be honest, for me, we have seen many miracles in football, and maybe someone's going to point out this video to me in a month or 3-4 months time, saying like, look, you said that Chile is not going to play in the World Cup, and now they are in the playoff. Could happen, yes, this is football, but I don't see that happening at all, to be honest, personally. 8 games without winning for La Roja against Ecuador at home in Santiago. Last match day was a tale of 2 halves. First half they compete, and probably was one of the best games so far under Gareca, or at least one of the best 45 minutes under Gareca. Second half was completely different. They could have lost the game, and Ecuador showed the superiority they have at the moment against Chile. It could be 3 World Cups missing in a row for Chile. That is, of course, a blow, and that is why supporters or the press do not want to believe still that they're not going to play in the next World Cup, because they're at the back of a golden generation, and it's difficult to assume the situation. With Ecuador, it was the tale of Chile being the worst home team of the qualifiers, playing against the second best team away of the qualifiers, as it is the 3. And now with Argentina, we're going to have still the worst team at home of the qualifiers, Chile, but now facing the best away team of the qualifiers, which is Argentina, who is at the back of a wonderful win against Brazil, the best footballing display I've seen from Argentina since the final of the World Cup. That was the night of the 4-1 against Brazil in the Monumental, and to do it without Messi, without Lautaro, was even more impressive. Scaloni keeps believing in playing together as many number 10s as he can. Against Brazil, he played Paredes, Alexis De Paul, Enzo, and Thiago Almada all from the start. And now with Chile, we have the comeback of Messi. He's back on the list. Lo Celso is back on the list. Nico Paz is on the squad again, and apparently Xabi Alonso wants him back as well from Como to play for Real Madrid next season. Lautaro is back in the list as well, but I will put an asterisk on him because he still needs to play the final of the Champions League. And we need to see how he finishes physically, Lautaro, because we have been talking about this in our Serie A shows. He's been playing under pain in the last 1 or 2 months, so I will still wait to see if Lautaro is going to make it for this fixture. Garnacho, he missed the games with Uruguay and Brazil, but now he's back on the list. I would have liked to see Matias Ule. I think he have done enough to be in the list, but well, we will see. Maybe probably next time. And there is a chance that the Scaloni calls also Franco Mastantuono, who is only 17 years old, and he's the best player in Argentinian football. He's playing as a number 10 for River Plate, and there is a chance he's going to be called. Of course, the 𝗀𝗏𝗍 favorite, clear favorite here, Edu. As always with Chile, we get tense games anyway. Cards market is one to look closer to the game. Chile, I believe, playing at home, one of the last chances they have, they're going to press and try to play in Argentinian half at least for the first 15 or 20 minutes. So if anyone wants to look for the corners market, especially to have or to get Chile 1 corner in the first 10 minutes as well before the game, is one good market to have a look. Argentina to win 2-0 is 2.8, but my take is going to be more straightforward, Edu. I like the odds on Argentina, 𝐿2, Argentina to win 1.80. That's my take.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a 1-0 away win or something similar, a classic Argentina win, in this case 2-0. Well, if Chile is the worst team in these qualifiers together with Peru. Peru playing away against Colombia, really low odds to back Colombia. They really need to win. They are the last in the standings to go directly to the World Cup, 6th in the standings because they drew against Paraguay despite leading 2-0, and before that 3 consecutive defeats. So they really need to win, Leo, and Peru is the perfect rival. On the road, only 1 point, and after losing to Venezuela, they basically have really slim options also to go to the World Cup.
Yes, and to be honest, by reading the Colombian press, I think they are panicking a bit too much with no complete reasons, because yes, I understand from where they are coming from. On the road to Qatar 2022, Colombia went winless last 7 games and they didn't make it to the World Cup. So now there is a feeling of like, oh, what if this happens again? You mentioned 3 consecutive defeats, then the draw with Paraguay after going 2-0 up in 12 minutes. So there is this tension of what could happen to Colombia, but not at all, again, in my personal view, that Colombia could be out of the playoff spot or not making to the World Cup. Actually, they won't even need a playoff spot here. Colombia, when they were 2-0 up against Paraguay, they were 3rd in the standing. The problem is like 75 minutes after John Duran scored the 2-0, they were 6th, as they are now. But yes, Peru is the perfect rival to get back to winning ways. There are some uncertainties anyway, because James Rodriguez, yes, he's in the list, but he played only 1 game in the last 47 matches. Camilo Vargas, the goalkeeper, went for surgery after the season finishing in Mexico for him, so he's still in doubt if he's gonna make it or not. Lucho Diaz, guys, he's not playing this game against Peru because he reached 2 yellow cards against Paraguay, so he's going to miss this first fixture, the Matchday 15, but he's going to be back on Matchday 16. But take that into account if you are looking for individual markets. No Lucho Diaz against Peru. They have, but despite all these drawbacks that I was pointing, Colombia has enough to beat Peru. Peru away this qualifier, Edu, 6 defeats and 1 draw. No goal scores for them away from home and 11 goals conceded. So, yes, the odds on Colombia are very low, so I'm going to combine them. Might take here Colombia to win plus goals over 1.75. These two together, odds of 2.07.
And the last game probably is the most important one for the standings in these qualifiers, Venezuela, Bolivia, because Venezuela have right now 1 point more than Bolivia, and they are in the playoff spots to go to the World Cup. So both are fighting for this 7th spot. Venezuela got a massive win against Peru with Rondon scoring after 9 winless games, actually no wins in 2024. And Bolivia, I guess, Leo, they would be very happy with a draw in Venezuela. It's only 2 points in the last 5 games, and they play Chile next. So I guess in their minds is getting a draw in Venezuela and then beating Chile at home.
That would be the perfect scenario for Bolivia if they can rescue a point away from home against Venezuela. I completely agree with you that probably this is not the most interesting fixture for the neutrals, but it's probably the most important one in this match day 15, because it's a direct encounter of 2 teams looking for a playoff spot. And actually for Venezuela, this could be a breakthrough, Edu, because they are now 1 point above Bolivia, which means if they win, they can open a gap of 4 points against the rivals. Against Peru, it needed to be Salomon Rondon, who else for Venezuela to score the winning goals after 9 games winless for the Fernando Batista's team. Against Bolivia, if you look at the odds, yes, Venezuela is actually super favorites. That is because as well Bolivia fix so much of what they do in El Alto that when they go to places like Venezuela or other countries in South America, and they're on the road, basically, it's very difficult for them. Only 1 win in more than 30 years for them officially on the road. That happened, yes, in these qualifiers against Chile in Santiago. But not playing in El Alto, I wouldn't trust Bolivia, who again, I said that before with Uruguay, they could have lost the game playing at home in El Alto. Defensively, they are very poor. The only thing is like when they play at home in El Alto, yes, they can take the advantage when they attack, but otherwise, still a relatively poor national team, Bolivia. If you look at Venezuela, of the 15 points they have, 13 of them have been won at home. So for me, the Vino Tinto is a favorite here. Then when we look at the fixtures in this Venezuela-Bolivia looking for the playoff spot, I wouldn't think that either way they have it more difficult than the other, because as we mentioned a few times, after Venezuela, Bolivia has Chile at home. They have also Brazil at home on match day 18, and they are away to Colombia. And for Venezuela, it's Argentina and Uruguay on the road, and then Colombia at home. So again, this is massive for Venezuela. My take here, Venezuela to win, plus Venezuela first team to score. These two combined odds of 1.98.
Well, Leo, great analysis. Looking forward to these games in match day 15th in South America. Always very interesting, of course. And now even more with Carleto in Brazil. Remember, guys, that we have opened our tipster competitions and you can participate and win some cash prizes up to 1,000 euros or create your own tipster competitions thanks to rivals. Leo, we can make, I'm sure, a nice safe bet and an ACCA for this match day. Let's go with your safe bet.
Yes, we do have both. Safe bet, Colombia, Peru, goals over 1.5, odds of 1.36.
And the ACCA?
I'm using that same bet, safe bet, Colombia, Peru, goals over 1.5. Also Paraguay, Uruguay, first half draw, and Argentina to win. These three together, odds of 4.72.
Beautiful, Leo Bachanian. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.